What's poppin', Rob Television? Welcome back to another reaction with your boy. As you can see by the title of the video, man, I'm back with another Making the Case. Shout out to my man's Mikey Fong. He requested that I react to all the Making the Case videos, so that's what I'm doing. Of course, shout out to my man Clayton Crowley, because without him, I wouldn't be able to get these reactions going for you guys. But as you can see by the title, man, I'm coming at y'all with that Magic video. Now, one of my mans from one of my Larry Bird videos, he was telling me that in the Making the Cases video, or just a lot of videos in general, that, I was talking over some good parts, which I'm so sorry. I just never did want to drag the videos on too long. But whenever it's time that I feel like I want to chime in and say something, I'm just going to try to pause it instead of keep talking over. I just never did want to keep pausing and keep dragging the video along. But I ain't gonna talk y'all to death in this intro, man. You know how we do over here, man. Before we get into the video, man, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, man, make sure you subscribe. Click that post notification bell to be notified on all things Rob Television. Let's get into the video.
Basketball is special. The size of the court and the lack of pads or helmets give fans the most intimate experience of a team
That's
sport
a big
that
fall,
exists.
boy.
And because of the different styles that
I
basketball
would
allows
not want to be up
players
under him.
develop their own distinct identities and signature styles through their creativity. Flair.
One thing, I get excited whenever I see like this intro, because I just know it's so many other players that y'all want me to react to, but I want to react to myself. So if y'all just be patient with me. I know that sometimes I miss a couple days, but I be having other stuff I be filming and stuff too, other than just reactions. And make sure y'all check that out too, because there'll be some lit videos. But I am going to get y'all recommendations out there, man. I have a whole list full of like all the recommendations y'all be recommending. You know what I mean? So trust me, I'm going to get them out there for y'all.
And athleticism.
So hit that subscribe
button. Player
button.
succeeds alone, the scoring volume and two-way nature of the sport give
that
individual
post
stars
notification
a nearly unprecedented amount of control over the flow and outcome of a game. For this reason, players are constantly compared to their peers and to the legends of the past in order to answer the most hotly contested question in the sport. Who's the greatest to ever do it? For many, the question is redundant. They believe in only one right answer, their answer. Others might have their own personal stance, but acknowledge one or two alternatives. But I believe that there's much more nuance to the question of greatness and more answers to it than you might think. By my count, there are 8 players in NBA history that have a substantial claim as the GOAT. It's a subjective thing though. I can't give you a definitive answer. All I can do is make the argument. So today, I'll be making the case for Magic Johnson as the greatest basketball player of all time.
Let me see what you got, baby. Let me see what you got.
The year is 1979. Professional basketball in America is at perhaps the lowest point in its history. No one is going to games, the ratings are garbage, none of the players are very marketable, and the product is so bad that CBS isn't bothering to air playoff games live. Things look bad. Enter Earvin Johnson. Johnson bested Larry Bird's undefeated Indiana State Sycamores in the 1979 NCAA Championship, an event that retains the highest TV rating of a game of basketball ever.
By the way, I'm also going to react to that. I think somebody requested that one too, so I'm going to get their reaction out there for y'all too.
Ever. When the Lakers used their #1 overall pick to make Johnson the first underclassman ever to be taken as the top draft choice, you have to wonder if they knew exactly who they'd just drafted. How could they have known that they had just drafted a player that would become an icon for their franchise, for their city, and for a generation of basketball history? They didn't draft Earvin Johnson, the prospect from Michigan State. They drafted Magic. Right off the bat, for whatever it's worth, Magic Johnson has the coolest nickname in NBA history. It fits him to a T and is really the name that everyone knows him by.
Showtime.
It's not like his last name is superfluous, like with Kobe, LeBron, or Kareem. And it's not like his last name is eternally iconic, like Russell, Jordan, or Duncan. It's just Magic. Johnson came into the NBA and immediately injected it with life like he was an epinephrine pen. Magic's winning smile, charismatic interviews, and revolutionary play style introduced the league to a pulse and a personality it hadn't known since Wilt Chamberlain. Before long, he became the frontman of a team that would be known by its own distinct nickname, Showtime, like it was a piece of theater or art in and of itself. He was the lead man of the most popular show in Hollywood. In a city full of celebrities, he was the main attraction. Not only did he have the smile and personality to carry a name like Magic, but he also had the basketball aptitude to pull off a team called Showtime. What did he do with that aptitude? He won 5 championships, a half-decade's worth, and appeared in 9 finals. Only Kareem, Bill Russell, and Sam Jones have appeared in more. He won 3 regular season MVPs in a span of 4 years, won 3 finals MVPs, made 12 All-Star teams, and was selected to 10 All-NBA teams. And keep in mind that all of these accomplishments took place in a 12-year career, 11 if you want to mention his injury-shortened 81 season. Magic only spent 3 years of his playing career watching the finals from home. I spent more years trying to graduate from college than Magic spent not making the finals. His HIV diagnosis came right on the heels of a season in which he finished as the runner-up for league MVP, was selected to first-team All-NBA, and competed in the NBA Finals. It is not hyperbole or exaggeration to say that Magic's career was cut short while he was still 90% as good as he'd ever been. Those 12 years were enough of a basketball pedigree, though, that even now, some 30 years later, he is still universally considered the greatest point guard of all time. A fact made both impressive and unfortunate considering how much more he had to give. Still, Magic's career stacks up against anyone else with a claim to basketball's highest throne. And the legend surrounding Magic Johnson is rooted in the undeniable truth that Magic Johnson is the best passer in the history of basketball. With the ball in his hand, he was no longer a basketball player. He became a force of nature. His movements became sublime and fluid. These passes...
Now, don't get me wrong. Magic passing ability is phenomenal. I'm not saying it's not. But, I don't know, man. Like, when him and Bird... Bro, like, Magic making some crazy passes, but man, like, from what I seen, I'm gonna have to go look at Magic passing highlights, but like, Bird was making was like a magician, bro. Like, not saying what Magic doing ain't great, cause it's great too, but I don't know. That's a good debatable one right there, in my opinion. Somebody might not feel somebody watching this might think that it's Magic running off with it. That's crazy.
Intervention. These passes are coming from the basketball gods, and Magic Johnson became their instrument. To convince you, I shouldn't need to show you anything other than his ability, but the stats bear it out.
He got it between his legs.
Magic has the highest assist per game average ever, and also has the most assists in NBA playoff history. Magic's skills extended beyond just passing, though. Too big to be guarded by traditional point guards and too quick to be guarded by slow-footed forwards, he created matchup problems every time he brought the ball across midcourt. His speed with the ball was unrivaled, and accompanied with his remarkable rebounding proficiency, was a key feature in the Lakers' fast break offense. He was adept at finishing with either hand, something he did often thanks to his underrated first step. Years of practice by himself and with Kareem helped Magic develop a high post game that added yet another dimension to his offensive skill set. Magic was also adept at picking his opponent's pockets, leading the league in steals per game twice. This skill set is made even more impressive when you remember that Magic was the same height as Karl Malone. That might be my favorite thing about Magic, that he was a true, authentic point guard who happened to be 6'9".
6'9"?
It wasn't like Tim Duncan, who played power forward but people say was actually a center, or how James Harden is listed at shooting guard even though he plays more like a point guard. Magic was an honest-to-God point guard who could also play every position on the basketball court. As an individual defender, Magic was capable, never a lockdown guy, but he was as versatile and as switchable as they come. And with such solid rebounding numbers, there were no holes in Magic Johnson's offensive game. When I say that Magic immediately began making an impact on the NBA, I do mean immediately. His rookie year is still one of the most successful campaigns a first-year player has ever had. He took over the job as starting point guard and helped guide the Lakers to 60 wins and a berth in the NBA Finals, where the Lakers faced Julius Erving's Philadelphia 76ers. The series was competitive throughout, with each contest being decided by 10 points or fewer through the first 5 games. In Game 5, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the reigning league MVP and the Lakers' best player, badly sprained his ankle. Kareem was able to return and will his team to a 5-point victory, putting the Lakers ahead in the series 3-2. With only one more win needed to clinch the title, Kareem was ruled unavailable for Game 6 in Philadelphia. Magic was then called upon to start the game at center and try to replace Kareem's 33-point-per-game average in the series.
Magic started the game at center? Bro, that's wild. At 6'9" and being able to maneuver and dribble like how he is, like a center? That's phenomenal,
Magic
man.
answered that call and delivered one of the most memorable basketball performances by any player ever.
At center.
42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. All as a 20-year-old rookie playing on the road on basketball's highest stage.
As a center.
Magic was named Finals MVP, the first and only rookie to win the award. In the years that followed, Magic's basketball journey would be inextricably linked to that of Larry Bird. It's nearly impossible to talk about one without mentioning the other.
I swear.
In my Making the Case video for Larry Bird, I brought up arguments that could be used in favor of Bird's superiority. And because this is a video about Magic's claim of supremacy, I figure I ought to do the same for him. You first have to give credit to Magic for being the most decorated player during perhaps the most talent-laden period the NBA has ever seen. Including his finals opponents, Magic faced competition like Olajuwon and Sampson's Rockets, Tom Chambers' Suns, Mark Aguirre's Mavs, Isaiah Thomas's Pistons, Moses Malone and Dr. J's 76ers, Michael Jordan's Bulls, and Bird's Celtics. Magic's detractors might try to devalue his team's success by pointing out that he played for a remarkably talented team thanks to a brilliant front office. Because of his team's talents, these detractors say, Magic can't be individually credited for their success. In the interest of making Magic's case, though, I'd first acknowledge that yes, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the best basketball player in the world for nearly the entire 1970s and had already led a team in Milwaukee to a championship by the time Magic arrived in LA. Yes, James Worthy was one of the most polished and accomplished prospects to come out of college basketball in some time. And that's not to mention other pivotal role players like Michael Cooper, Kurt Rambis, and Byron Scott, who all played outstanding basketball. I acknowledge all of that, but I'd argue that the greatness of the Showtime Lakers does not take anything away from Magic's abilities as a player or as a leader. If anything, it reinforces the fact that Magic is one of the most effective leaders basketball has ever seen.
And my opinion, that just speaks volumes to how good of a player he actually was for him to be surrounded by that type of talent and still was able to finals MVPs, league MVPs, you know what I mean? Not that it's all about individual accolades, but I'm just saying that speaks volumes in itself. So you really you could be contradicting yourself even saying that.
By the start of the 84-85 season, he had organically flourished into the alpha dog of the team and respectfully taken the torch from Kareem without a power struggle. It's one of the only times in NBA history that there was a peaceful transition of power from one player to the next. Pro basketball is like 15th century England in that sense. There are no peaceful transitions of power. The fact that Magic was able to earn the respect and commitment of his teammates, especially one of the most historically dominant players ever in Kareem, is a testament to Magic's greatness. Beside the departure of Norm Nixon, the Lakers' previous point guard, there were no ugly breakups.
What the hell?
Cooper, Rambis, Scott, Worthy, and Kareem all retired at one point or another as Lakers. If you won't believe me, listen to the words of Bill Simmons, former ESPN columnist, current CEO of The Ringer, and noted Boston sports supporter who grew up rooting against Magic. Simmons says, he's the single best leader in the history of the sport. Nobody extracted more from teammates, whether it was an all-star game, a mundane affair in December, or any playoff game. It's also important to note that Magic was ready to win right from the get-go. Like I said earlier, he won Finals MVP as a rookie and finished as the runner-up for regular season MVP in his final full year. Unlike nearly every other player who's ever laced him up, there was never a year where Magic's productivity dropped below his eye-popping, jaw-dropping standards. 12 years of Magic Johnson means 12 years of top-shelf, undeniable, incomparable greatness. Magic's critics might say that he didn't score enough, that his defense was too suspect to be considered the greatest, or that his play wouldn't translate into the league today. To all of that, I'd argue that one of the best things about basketball is how many different ways there are to win. You can be a 6'3" sharpshooter like Steph Curry and revolutionize the game, a 7'1" behemoth like Shaq who dominates the league, or anything in between. There are so many viable ways to play the game that have all resulted in championships, MVPs,
that's
and the like.
facts.
Magic's play style
That's
allowed
facts.
him
That's
to
big
control
facts.
the game with a vice grip and tailor it to his specific brand of basketball. What's a player supposed to do when it comes to how the game might evolve in the future? When people talk about the way Magic played, they sometimes talk about it almost like it's a kind of historical casualty. That bewilders me. What Magic did worked really well. Why should he have done anything different? Magic changed the NBA for the better. He was the first positionless player, someone who broke the mold and opened the basketball-watching public's eyes to the possibilities of letting great players do what they're great at, rather than just fulfilling the traditional roles of their size or position. As the game evolves more and more into a positionless sport, Magic's influence and value only become more and more apparent. His Showtime Lakers also became one of the first teams to make the game of basketball aesthetic.
Just for all my young bulls out there, once again, who watching this, that goes to show you, the game ain't all about scoring. Don't get so wrapped up in that. Everybody ain't going to be the best scorer. Find your niche and stick with it.
The speed, athleticism, and skill we
Everybody
all
can't be
enjoy
like
today
me.
is due in part to Showtime and Magic Johnson. In my video about Larry Bird, I gave him a lot of credit for saving the NBA, and deservedly so. Larry was a pioneer of basketball and contributed immensely to the explosion of the game's popularity. But for every breath of fresh air that Larry contributed, Magic did the same. You can't talk about one without the other because it was the rivalry between the two that really saved the league. The fact that they competed against each other in such a high-profile game in college, had nearly polar opposite personalities, were of different races, played for the two most historic teams in the country, and met each other multiple times in the finals, all cements theirs as the defining rivalry of the NBA. Despite the differences in their personalities, though, their games were remarkably similar. Team-first, success-oriented mindsets and proclivities for passing were trademark features of both their styles. Those styles met 3 times in the finals, each in legendary fashion. Magic would have the last laugh, though, with 2 championship series wins against Bird. By the time the 1987 finals, their last series against each other, rolled around, Magic had developed a killer instinct and flair for the dramatic matched only by his rival. In Game 4 of the series, with the Lakers leading 2-1, Magic all but iced the series with the most legendary shot of his career. Down 1 with seconds left in a raucous Boston Garden, Magic ripped the heart out of every Celtics fan with his baby sky hook.
Oh, I thought they meant like 1 second. I'm tripping. My bad.
It was the moment of the '87 finals and the shot of Magic's career. He capped off the most remarkable season of his career by vanquishing his most intense rival for the second time in 3 years. Bill Simmons described how momentous the shot and ensuing championship win was for Magic's legacy. Not even the biggest Celtics fan on the planet could deny it any longer. Magic Johnson was just as exceptional as Larry Bird. This point is echoed by Bird himself in a clip I'll leave you with. After the game, Bird remarked how impressed he was with Magic's performance and ability as a basketball player. It's only an 11-second clip, but there's a moment in it that just strikes me. There's a split second where you can see the disbelief in Larry's eyes as he tries to come to terms with the fact that the game, and likely the series, is over. In that second, you can almost see him ponder all of the work he put in during the season. All the games he played and the shots he took, all in the hopes of getting a chance to beat his old rival. And then he has to reconcile the fact that that old rival got the better of him, plain and simple. Bird wasn't alone in having to reconcile being beaten by Magic Johnson. Magic still maintains the highest win percentage for a career in NBA history. It's the same thing countless players and coaches had to come to terms with during Earvin Magic Johnson's 12 magical years with the Los Angeles Lakers. Here's Bird, summing it all up with a look.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Hey there, friend. Thanks for watching the video. If you like,
shout out to my man Clayton, man. But that was the first time that I've seen, since I've been watching Larry Bird, I've seen him speechless. So that lets you know that Magic was, for him to say that Magic was the best that he ever seen, and for let me re-announce it, for Bird to have been speechless, yeah, Magic was the truth. Magic was nice. I would admit Magic, most definitely, ain't nothing I gotta admit, Magic is one of the all-time GOATs, clearly. But if you did enjoy that reaction video, man, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, man, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, click that post notification button, be notified on all things Rock Television. I'm out this thing. Gang.